Donald Trump is on the path to be elected president again in 2024. He leads the Republican primary with close to 60% in the national polls, as his competitors drop out left and right. Trump is also leading President Biden in general election polling, both national and in every swing state. This effect is only amplified when third-party candidates such as Robert Kennedy Jr., Cornel West, and Jill Stein are included in the polling. The funny thing with these delusional people still running against Trump in the primary is that they attack him on his personality, they attack him on his character, his charisma, his style, his movement, but for the most part, they don't go after his agenda. They act as if he has no agenda for 2024, but the fact is, Trump's proposed platform for 2024 is far and away the best platform out of any of his three presidential runs. It is probably the best platform since Pat Buchanan last ran for president in 2000. Today we are going to be breaking down the details of this platform so you can be well versed in his plans and be able to defend our president effectively the next time someone attacks him as being all personality and no plan. So let's get into it. Welcome back to the Mr. Svez YouTube channel and our first video here in the new studio. If you are new here, please consider hitting that subscribe button as it really helps out the channel. Now, let's dive into Trump's Agenda 47. One of the biggest issues with Trump's first administration was that the swamp, the federal bureaucracy, stood between him and his ability to enact his vision for our country. So let's start off with how he plans to quote-unquote drain the swamp in 2024. How to drain the swamp. One of the first things Trump plans to do is implement Schedule F. What is Schedule F, you may ask? Using Schedule F, Trump would be able to fire rank-and-file bureaucrats working as political operatives against the administration's goals. This is a direct attack on the deep state, meaning the bureaucrats who have for so long been unchangeable by the president and therefore unaccountable to the American people would finally face consequences for ignoring the administration's goals. There is also an organized effort to get conservatives credentialed and ready to fill in these newly vacant roles in the bureaucracy. Two organizations, Project 2025 and American Moment, both are working hard to get America First conservatives credentialed and ready to fill in these newly vacant offices in the bureaucracy. I'll leave a link to their websites down below. Trump also plans to decentralize the bureaucracy by moving some of the executive branch departments outside of Washington, D.C., thereby making lobbying more difficult because lobbyists would have to travel across the country to lobby bureaucrats separately from elected politicians. His goal is to move approximately 100,000 positions outside of Washington, D.C. The thing I would like to stress about this part of the plan is that you don't want to move massive bureaucracies into low population red states or swing states where liberal bureaucrats will be able to shift the state towards the left. But I'm sure people are talking about this with him in his inner circle of policy advisors. Trump's other priorities when it comes to exposing the deep state and draining the swamp include exposing the corrupt Biden crime family, exposing the Clinton family and foundation, overhauling the structure of the DOJ, hopefully dismantling the FBI, investigating and firing Soros-funded Marxist prosecutors, pardoning the January 6th political prisoners, reforming the FISA court system to stop the government from spying on its citizens, separating inspector general's offices from the departments which they oversee, implementing an independent audit system to check the power of the intelligence agencies, and banning bureaucrats from taking jobs at the companies which they regulate. This ambitious plan to drain the swamp shows how serious Trump plans to take this task. This moves drain the swamp beyond a campaign slogan and into a serious political vision, returning power to the people and wresting it away from the bureaucracy. After one term as president and seeing how difficult it was to effectuate change, it looks as though Trump has thought long and hard about how he's going to do things differently in this next term so that he can be even more effective in implementing the rest of his agenda. Next up, we have the economy. Anyone who was paying attention during Trump's first term knows just how good the economy was from the time that Trump took office until the pandemic forced people into a perpetual state of fear. When re-elected, it's reasonable to assume the economy may move back in that direction again. When back in office, President Trump will put an end to Bidenomics, which has led to uncontrolled inflation. Over the course of President Biden's term, the Consumer Price Index has shown a 17% increase. Yearly inflation has peaked at 9.8%, and even mortgage payments on new homes have gone up 90% over the course of the Biden presidency. Under Trump, we had a roaring economy up until the pandemic, and without his leadership during the pandemic, damage to the economy could have been tenfold. Hopefully, under his leadership, we can prevent a serious economic collapse from happening in the next few years. An interesting new economic policy proposal which Trump has floated is that he will seek to regain the use of the presidential power of impoundment, challenging the Impoundment Control Act of 1974, which would allow him to cut waste, stop runaway inflation, and rein in the deep state, all from the White House. This power belonged to the president for the first 200 years of our republic, allowing the president to actually manage executive branch finances and end wasteful spending within its departments, whether it be money spent on DEI or money spent on prosecuting conservatives for political purposes. This discretionary power will be returned to the elected executive and wrestled away from the fourth invisible branch of government. Here's a clip of Trump explaining this concept.
For 200 years under our system of government, it was undisputed that the president had the constitutional power to stop unnecessary spending through what is known as impoundment. Very simply, this meant that if Congress provided more funding than was needed to run the government, the president could refuse to waste the extra funds and instead return the money to the general treasury and maybe even lower your taxes. When I return to the White House, I will do everything I can to challenge the Impoundment Control Act in court and, if necessary, get Congress to overturn it. We will overturn it. I will then use the president's long-recognized impoundment power to squeeze the bloated federal bureaucracy for massive savings.
Trump will also continue his efforts to rebuild American manufacturing and bring back these essential jobs from overseas. This, of course, requires American energy costs to go back down. Trump plans to revive American energy independence just as he did during his first term. He would deregulate the oil industry and drill for American oil again.
Drill, baby, drill.
Embrace clean natural gas. Promote nuclear energy production. Upgrade the power grid for the 21st century and revise Department of Energy and EPA restrictions, ending their insane subsidies for wind and solar power, as well as for electric vehicles. Trump has also proposed the Trump Reciprocal Trade Act, basically stating that any country which tariffs us, we will tariff back equally, if not stronger. This will be a driving factor in lowering prices long term, as well as bringing jobs back to the United States. Trump's influence in moving the GOP away from this free trade self-masochism is one of the most important legacies of his first administration, and one which must continue to shape the future of the Republican Party.
Law and order.
Trump, of course, has talked a big game on law and order, which he hopes to deliver on. First of all, he will end rogue and ineffective policing by tying federal funding to guarantees on specific items. He will require that state and local police allow the use of measures like stop and frisk policing and broken windows policing. He will require that these departments crack down on illegal drug use, ending the nullification of federal drug laws, and cooperate with ICE in enforcing deportation orders, thereby ending federal funding to sanctuary city police. This is how the federal government got all the states to agree to raise their drinking age from 18 to 21, and it will serve as a powerful tool in ending sanctuary cities and states. Additionally, Trump's DOJ will fight the prosecutors who have ended cashless bail, going after gang and cartel drug networks and promoting the use of the death penalty for drug dealers and human traffickers. He will strengthen the Second Amendment through a federal concealed carry reciprocity law, meaning that if you are licensed to conceal carry in one state, the federal government will recognize that right and apply it to all states. Where local governments refuse to act, President Trump will deploy federal assets, including the National Guard, to restore law and order. On the topic of law and order, we also have to discuss immigration. During Biden's term, we have witnessed an all-out invasion on our southern border. Millions of people have crossed illegally every year during this regime, and it's not because of incompetence. This is the Democrats' long-term play to transform American culture and create a more Democrat-favorable electorate through their planned blanket amnesty laws for the future. To not just stop, but counteract this complete disaster, Trump has proposed the largest domestic deportation in American history. He will accomplish this by deputizing state and local police to help with deportation efforts, with a goal of 10 million deportations by 2028. He also wants to end birthright citizenship and birthing tourism by implementing blood right citizenship, meaning that illegal migrants' children will no longer be granted automatic citizenship just for being born on American soil. And the American people will be a people again, not just an idea. Trump also plans to implement the death penalty for drug dealers and human traffickers to act as a deterrent to keep these people out of our country. Trump has not ruled out sending in the military to the border, showing that he is serious that this invasion must end. Foreign policy is by far one of the policy areas where Trump outshines the rest of the GOP. Trump's peace through strength approach and ruthless negotiating were some of the best aspects of his first administration, only tarnished by some of the people in those positions who have since exposed themselves as neocons and separated themselves from Trump's inner circle. One of Trump's top goals is preventing World War III. He will bring Russia and Ukraine to the negotiating table and work out a deal to stop the war that will require concessions from both sides. Trump has also called for a peaceful resolution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, while still strongly denouncing the acts of terror that started the war. Trump will scare China away from attacking Taiwan under his presidency and restore the confidence in the US military lost after Biden's terrible Afghanistan withdrawal. Trump will also consider using the military to end the invasion on our southern border if Mexico refuses to comply with securing the border. Under Trump's leadership, we will end the woke military, firing officials who continue to push a DEI agenda in the face of failing military standards. Trump will also seek to modernize the military by cutting funding for the woke military programs and reinvesting that money into modern jets, ships, weapons, and other crucial pieces of defense equipment. Restocking our stockpiles, which have been depleted by the Biden administration, sending out all our arms overseas to Ukraine, Israel, Iran, and others. Trump has even discussed reducing our participation with NATO and the UN, allowing us to put our own interests first again, and reducing our insane spending on these alliances that only benefit others, risking our troops, our American blood, and putting them in harm's way to protect the interests of other nations. It will end under Donald Trump. We will put America first again on the world stage.
It's going to be only America first. America first.
Now, those first policy proposals address the current disasters facing our nation, but we also have to look to the future. For those who believe Trump is running a campaign completely fixated on the past, here is where it becomes painfully obvious that they are all lying on the American family. Trump has proposed a family growth plan similar to that of Hungary. President Trump will ask Congress to support baby bonuses for parents in order to help promote a new baby boom. This would be a strong investment in the future of our country as birth rates around the Western world continue to plummet. Trump would also end Biden's war on the suburbs, which is currently seeking to put government-subsidized, low-income apartment buildings in the middle of single-family home suburbs, drastically changing suburban culture. Trump will be an ally to the American family and for American children. On education, Trump plans to end federal funding for any school system which pushes CRT or gender ideology. He wants to fire radicals at the Department of Education, abolish teacher tenure for K through 12, instead adapting merit-based pay, certify teachers that exhibit patriotic values, not woke indoctrination, and adopt a parental bill of rights that includes curriculum transparency and universal school choice. He will also seek to implement the direct election of school principals by parents as the ultimate form of local control. Trump has also made a pledge to American homeschooling families to ensure school choice stipends apply equally to homeschooling families as it does to public school families, and to ensure that the same benefits of clubs, athletics, and educational trips are provided to homeschoolers in the same way they are provided to public school students. On American prosperity, the quantum leap agenda. Trump wants to build 10 freedom cities. Excuse me, what? President Trump plans to host a design contest for the creation of 10 new freedom cities, where families may be able to go and have a chance to live the American dream with fellow patriots. Cities are the centers of American cultural power, so by creating cities founded upon American principles, these new freedom cities may help to take back the culture from radical left Marxists in New York, LA, and Hollywood. President Trump would advocate for a great modernization and beautification campaign, working with governors to get rid of ugly buildings and fix up public parks and spaces to reflect a pristine and beautiful country. President Trump would advocate for the advancement of VTOL, vertical takeoff and landing technology, to promote a generation inspired towards technological achievement. Trump wants to build a national garden of heroes, a place where statues are built to American heroes in the face of woke cities tearing down our historic monuments. Trump has also shared the idea of launching the American Academy, a free, online, unwoke college paid for by taxing woke Ivy League university endowments. Lastly, Trump has discussed hosting a national fair at the Iowa State Fairgrounds in 2026, commemorating the 250th anniversary of the American founding in 1776. Similar to the World's Fairs which have come before it, this grand event would showcase the best of our country, our grand history and heritage, and promote a bright and bold future for our country. Now, if you are worried that this platform sounds great, but you don't believe Trump will actually be able to deliver, here are some things to consider. Trump's 2024 admin will look fairly different in key areas from his first administration. Thanks to the fallout of the 2020 election, J6, the 4 indictments, and the 2024 GOP primary, Trump will go into the second term with much more clarity as to who exactly his allies and enemies are. People like Nikki Haley, Mike Pence, and Mike Pompeo, and others have ousted themselves as disloyal not only to Trump, but disloyal to what the MAGA movement represents. Trump has been seen associating with people who would make for a very strong second administration, repairing his relationship with Steve Bannon, appearing publicly several times with Tucker Carlson, Byron Donalds, Ben Carson, and more. But we'll save the details of who exactly should be in the next administration for another video. The bright side of Trump taking 4 years off and running in 2024, now as the outsider, is that if he had won in 2020, he likely would have been stuck with a divided government. But now, if Trump wins in 2024, he should have a trifecta in both houses of Congress under GOP control. With a new speaker in Mike Johnson, serving as a far superior leader than Paul Ryan was during Trump's first term, the last roadblock to quick passage of Agenda 47 is Mitch McConnell in the Senate. But even that seems likely to change in the next year.
Bipartisan cooperation and a string of
As ambitious as Agenda 47 is, it will take a lot of time and organization to accomplish. This leaves many people concerned about the fact that Trump cannot serve 2 more terms. The truth is, this is why there is so much pressure on who he will pick to be VP. And while it is very possible we could get someone great like Tucker Carlson in as VP, who can carry the torch and allow for 12 years to accomplish all this great work, it is also possible Trump picks someone who will strategically not run for president in 2028 and leave the door open for a strong successor to take up the mantle, someone like Tucker Carlson, Josh Hawley, or JD Vance. But that is 4 years from now. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. We have to win this November 1st. Agenda 47 really is something to be excited about. It is something we should all be talking about, and our people in the media should be putting far more attention on Trump's agenda as opposed to focusing on his legal issues and supposed scandals. If this platform is what Republicans run on in 2024, it has the potential to be the New Deal of our generation. Let's act like it. Let's make Agenda 47 a reality. Let's make America great again. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you leave a like, subscribe, and share the video with a friend. We have so much content in the pipeline coming up, I don't want you to miss a thing. I'll see you in the next one. Take care, and God bless.
It's going to be only America first. America first.